On today's show, we'll key in on some impressive performances in the Ottawa Senators' 3-2 comeback win over the Toronto Maple Leafs.
And we have updates from today's practice. Plus, we finally made it to the top 3 players in the organizational value rankings.
This is Brady Kachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's FanDuel to get started. Today is Wednesday, September 24th, and Pilsy, I have a sneaky suspicion that Shane Pinto is going to make me look real good with my high projection of him this season.
Yeah, I mean, Ross, we've been talking about, okay, how are the contract negotiations going with Pinto and the Sens? I think if you're Pinto and his agent, you say, you know what? Actually, we're going to wait a little for this contract extension. Maybe see how the season goes before we fully lock in here, because he looked amazing out there. He gets the game-tying goal with minutes left, 6-on-4. And then, Ross, you know this better than anyone. When Pinto scores, the Ottawa Senators win. But it's not just the Ottawa Senators winning. How about Shane Pinto getting the game-winning goal himself in overtime on a breakaway, zooming past Austin Matthews and going top shelf? I mean, it was a thing of beauty, and preseason games matter a lot when your team wins.
Yeah, and they don't matter at all when they lose. It's funny how that works, right?
Weird.
And it honestly, there was a little bit of parallel between Yakimchuk's goal last preseason in Toronto and Shane Pinto's here in terms of an elite player from the Toronto Maple Leafs having the best view of it. Right behind last year, it was Mitch Marner. And actually, Austin Matthews' controller died on that play last year. Yakimchuk's as well. This year, I mean, Shane Pinto just hit the gas. It was the old Ford Pinto in the neutral zone. He was flying. And you know how I know Shane Pinto is dialed in on this season?
Sure.
I've watched 3 preseason media availabilities, and he has not made himself laugh yet.
Wow, the jokes are over. It's serious time now.
Yeah. But you know what is still, at the end of the day, what makes Shane Pinto such a beauty and a vibes guy? Most players, when they win, you'll always see them. They'll repost on their Instagram story. It'll be the graphic that the Sens win. It'll maybe be the post-game locker room celebration, that sort of thing. You know what Shane Pinto reposted on Instagram last night after scoring the game-tying goal and then the game-winning goal?
His pug, his dog.
His dog, I believe it's a French bulldog.
Oh, okay. I thought he was a pug guy.
Yeah, I rest in peace. I think the pug passed away.
Okay. Darn.
He's a Frenchie, and you can follow Jet the Frenchie on Instagram.
Nice.
Billsy, it's the dog with its tongue out on the couch saying, like father, like son, because Shane Pinto cannot keep his tongue in his mouth after scoring a goal.
I mean, it's a signature. Those are going to be great screenshots. It's a signature move, so you got to keep it going, and everybody loves it. It's just a classic. This guy's having a good time. Is fun illegal? Let's keep fun around. And Shane Pinto is a fun guy.
Like, you know how it's like, don't let that guy get hot. Don't let Pinto's tongue get out. Otherwise, your team's in trouble.
Yeah. Although I will say one thing about Shane Pinto in this game. Well, I've said many things, but what a weird penalty for him to take at the start of the game. Did you see that, Ross? He gets I think they ended up calling it interference penalty, but Nylander's going to skate off the bench, to skate to the bench, and Pinto just puts his hand on his stick and keeps skating. And Nylander's like, "Hey, I'm trying to get on the bench here." And Pinto's like, "I'm holding your stick." So Nylander's like, "All right, take it." And Pinto just takes a stick right onto the bench and gets the penalty. That was a weird one, but again,
funny that gets called. But in the playoffs last year, when Austin Matthews took Ridley Gregg's stick and snapped it on the bench, that doesn't get called.
Unbelievable. Austin Matthews better have reimbursed Ridley Gregg for that one.
Yeah, or he could just maybe sign the frame of him on Pinto's backside as the puck goes in the net for the game-winning goal. But look, obviously it's an overreaction to just say, oh, the Sens came back and win that game. They were not good in the first period at all. Second period, they started playing better. Third period, it started to click. Like once Zetterlund scores shorthanded, all of a sudden you're like, okay, now we got a hockey game. And then the Senators had struggled 6-on-4 last year when they had the goalie pulled. God. So for them to get that goal, and Shane Pinto hasn't seen a net that wide open ever. It was an awesome play across. And I thought Ole Lycksell had a great game overall. And he was out there in that 6-on-4 situation. And I was just happy to see Shane Pinto, because you want the guys who are going to be big parts of the team to produce, especially when you're going up against an NHL heavy lineup. So that was fantastic. They're calling Shane Pinto's goal unassisted, the game time goal.
Yeah, I mean, it did bounce around in the crease, so I get that. But I mean, if you're Ole Lycksell, you want that apple on your score sheet for sure.
Yeah, and you pointed out the apple on the game-winning goal.
Yeah, Michael Amadio, honestly, other than Shane Pinto, was the star of the game for me for the Ottawa Senators. I mean, 19 minutes, 15 seconds of ice time, 4 shots. He almost had himself a shorthanded goal as well. It was kind of the reverse. This one, Shane Pinto did a little sauce pass to put Amadio on a breakaway, and he tried a little backhand deke, but I forget which of the Leafs goalies was in net at that time, but he was able to stretch out and make the save there. But Amadio with 4 shots, he was on the penalty kill, which I like to see, but yeah, go back. Obviously, the star of the game-winning goal is Shane Pinto, but Sandy starts behind the net.
Austin Matthews.
Sandy starts puck behind the net. Feed pass to Amadio. He's bringing it up. And if you're just a casual hockey fan, you're like, yeah, good pass, whatever. Calm down, Pilsy. But you have to look at this. Amadio times this perfectly, because not only is it a perfect sauce pass right as Morgan Rielly is trying to get set. Morgan Rielly realizes Amadio is going to try to make that pass, so he tries to get set. Amadio gets the sauce right over that stick before Morgan Rielly can fully get in the way of it, and it crosses the blue line at the perfect time for Pinto to get there, pick it up, and zoom past Austin Matthews to score. I know Michael Amadio is not the guy where you're like, oh man, Disher, this guy's a playmaker, but that pass, chef's kiss, that was perfect.
Hey, best stick in the league. He's got to use it with the puck on his stick as well, not just defensively. And I'm glad you pointed out him on the penalty kill. Got to see more of that going forward this season.
And less of the diamond. Whoever is running the penalty kill, are they not watching the same games and the same penalty kills we've been watching for the last season and now going into this preseason? I know the argument last year was like, well, lots of other teams use the diamond, and the diamond works very successfully for these teams. Cool. It does not work for the Ottawa Senators. It is terrible. They have to switch it up just for the sake of switching it up. Now, I know they did get that shorthanded goal, but the penalty kill looked bad, and I'm excited for the power play for the Sens, Ross, but I am very nervous about the penalty kill for the Sens this year.
But you like the power kill of scoring a goal.
Big power kill guy.
Did you get flashbacks? I know it ended up being a drop pass, but when Cousins crossed the blue line, I was getting flashbacks of his goal against the Leafs in Game 5.
You're obsessed with that. In your brain, you're like, Dylan Cousins is the best penalty killer.
Dude.
You get so many shorthanded points just because of that one play. It was a great play. Don't get me wrong, but
did he not get an apple on that shorthanded goal?
Yep.
We had people saying when we did our projected penalty killers, we spent 5 seconds at the end on Dylan Cousins, but that could be a role for him.
People saying it was just Ross and his 5 burner accounts.
No, this is serious business here. But yeah, the Sens, they also had a lot of opportunity to get reps on the PK. The penalties in this game were outrageous, in my opinion. Now, Hayden Hodgson might want at least one of those 2 back that he took. He had 4 minutes in penalties. In
and how about Stephen Halliday? Like, that was
come on.
Like, oh man, no wonder OEL was absolutely enraged about that. When I saw that, I was like, who is that just bopped OEL like that? Steven, what are you doing, Steven?
Hey, he just wants to get on the score sheet, feel good about it, and
he ripped one off the post. Coming down the wing. It was very close there.
I know. Yeah, that was good. Oh, not even an overreaction, but remind me throughout the season. Please set a reminder for October 9th. I'm hammering Fabian Zetterlund over shots on goal every game this year.
Yep, same. This guy is a shooter. He wants to
6 shots
redeem
on goal.
himself after only scoring 2 goals for the Ottawa Senators last season in regular season and playoffs, only 2 goals. I think he's going to get a bunch of shots, and I know I'm higher on Zetterlund, but I think he's going to get high 20s, maybe even flirt with 30 goals this year.
Holy smokes. Yeah, he had 9 shots on goal in the playoffs last year. It's 6 last night. So
Yeah.
let's see that trend continue. The Ottawa Senators win 3-2 in overtime. We also should give a little stick tap. And I told you before we recorded, like, I don't need to see Hunter Shepard again, but that save on Matthews at the end of regulation, it doesn't get to overtime without that breakaway stop.
Yep, big.
Pads look sick too. Still has the old bucket, but it's like the Von Iceberg style.
Yeah, it is cool. I'm pleasantly surprised or pleasantly okay with Hunter Shepard. Pleasantly okay with Hunter Shepard as like the grizzled vet. Grizzled is putting a lot of
he looks
work
grizzled.
in this, and that's what I'm saying. This guy's grizzled. He is the right guy to be the veteran goalie of this organization. So I've come around on that. And the Sens did a great job there.
Yeah, I mean, 2-time Calder Cup champion. And looking back at his setups, like, he's been an iceberg guy since going back to his day. Not enough guys wear Vaughn anymore. I was a big Vaughn guy. I love Vaughn. And he's the iceberg guy going back to his days in college. So I like the setup and I like the save on Austin Matthews. We love the organizational value rankings as well. And we've made it to the top. Over 4 hours of discussion on the 62 players that we've done so far. And we're going to put this video out over the weekend. And again, if you do watch the show every day, we appreciate the everydayers out there. But just click on YouTube and just let it play through. It does help the numbers. And we cannot wait to bring this to you today because it is time for the top 3. We've saved 2 segments for it because we want to dive in. Everybody knows who the 3 players are. But I'm not even going to list them off because I don't want to even give a hint at what the order is. I guess I could do it in alphabetical order if you're just catching up.
Or by age or by height. There's a couple different ways we could do it, Ross.
No, we'll do it alphabetical from last name. Jake Sanderson, Tim Stützle, and Brady Tkachuk. S comes before T in the alphabet, right?
Correct. And A comes before T as well for Sanderson and Stützle.
And one of these players said we're never wrong on the show. So I shouldn't have even asked. I know the alphabet. Come on. I've been working with my daughter on it. So don't worry about
legend,
that.
Ross Levitan.
And we can also count from 3 to 1. Mm-hmm. Next, you're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season is here. You guys already know that. Week 4 coming up, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for every single kickoff with a can't-miss offer. If you haven't joined FanDuel yet, no worries. Good news. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love FanDuel. Ross loves FanDuel, and you should too, because it fits however you like to bet. Player props, same game parlays, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. If you got a hunch you think you know how the game's going to go, FanDuel makes every game more exciting. Whether you're watching your favorite team or just keeping an eye on some fantasy players, it's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to your Thursdays, Sundays, and Mondays. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
All right, Buildy. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Sonk. We'll get to it in a moment. Before we get to our organizational value rankings, we do want to quickly touch on practice. Today was the first time that we've seen an NHL group. And I say that in quotations. Guys have not been cut. They can still move between the AHL and the NHL grouping before the B-Sens go down and begin their official training camp at CAA Arena. There was, I would say, one surprise, and that is Carter Yakimchuk was not on the ice with this group. Lassie Thompson was the extra right shot defenseman.
Yeah, I guess that's fair to call it a surprise. I wasn't overwhelmed with Yakimchuk's game. I thought he played good. There was a couple good moments where he showed good defensive play.
Yeah, good hit on Easton Cowan.
Yep, on the boards there. He had a couple times where he got to handle the puck a little, and I don't think he really wowed in that showing, especially since he was paired with Jake Sanderson, something we were very excited about. But I think the Sens are going to do the responsible thing and start him in Belleville. Now, we kind of anticipated, hey, with Jensen being out, is that going to cause the Ottawa Senators to start Yakimchuk in the NHL? I don't get the feeling that that's going to be the way they go here.
Yeah, me too. And I'm okay with it. We've talked about the potential of him and Sabrango being the top pair, but let him play 22 minutes a night. Let him quarterback a power play. Let him get settled into the pro hockey game. Because remember, he was just like a few weeks away from being only junior eligible this season. So the fact that he can play in Belleville in a draft +2 situation is almost a win in and of itself, that you don't have to make that awkward distinction of whether or not he's either NHL or has to go back for another year of junior hockey. So that to me is the surprise of this group. Now, there were 2 players on the ice that were limited in practice. Nick Jensen took a few reps in there with Thomas Chabot, with Donovan Sabrango, with Lassie Thompson, just getting his feet continuously underneath him. And then Lars Eller was wearing a non-contact jersey, but was on the ice. The 2 players that were not at practice, Drake Batherson tweaked something yesterday. We're hoping that it's a very short-term situation. And then Tyler Clevin, we did get an update yesterday from Travis Green that it was a sigh of relief that it's not going to be anything to keep him out long term. He should be expected on the ice in the next couple of days. The lines, Tim Stützle between Brady Tkachuk and Claude Giroux. Then Dylan Cousins with David Perron and Fabian Zetterlund. He's going back, Travis Green is, to the checking line of Shane Pinto, Ridley Gregg, and Michael Amadio. The 4th line, Stephen Halliday between Nick Cousins and then Ole Lixell and Arthur Kaliev. Well, I'm so used to Fabian Zetterlund being in the 4th line, even though he shouldn't have been. That's who it is. The 2 guys brought in on those high-paying 2-way contracts in the AHL salary. I mean that. Obviously, they're both making league minimum at the NHL level, but it looks like those 2 are getting serious competition and consideration with each other for that 4th line spot. On the back end, Jake Sanderson with Artem Zoom, Thomas Chabot with Nicholas Matinpalo, and Donovan Sabrango getting reps with Jordan Spence and Lassie Thompson. 3 goalies on the ice, Linus Ullmark, Levi Marilainen, and Mads Sogard. Any other thoughts before we move to our OVRs?
I thought Sabrango had a nice game last night. I noticed him a bunch. He got the assist on that shorthanded goal. So I think it's worthy that he's getting more opportunities here. I really like Lixell's game. I feel like he's got a little bit more in his bag than Kaliev, but that could be a pro and a con, because I think you could look at Kaliev as being a guy that makes more sense in the 4th line just to add that offensive scoring touch and maybe as a shooter on a second power play unit. Whereas Lixell has more of a well-rounded game, so maybe you don't see like a specialty where he fits in. But both of them, I think, are neck and neck for that job on the 4th line.
Oh, Pilsy.
Uh-oh.
Drake Batherson is out at least 2 weeks. Yes. So breaking news, Drake Batherson is out at least 2 weeks per Bruce Garriock. I'd imagine they're chatting with Travis Green right now. It's a pulled muscle in his upper body. And that's right after, 1 day after, we discussed how he's played 3 straight years, 82 games.
Hey, he could be back, though, because, 2 weeks from now...
Plus 1 day.
Yeah, so let's hope he's back for that. Obviously, that's disappointing, but not the worst thing. You'd rather it happen now than closer to the regular season. I think Brandon Piller, not a doctor, but I don't think it's going to be something that is going to be causing him to miss many games. Maybe he'll miss 1 or 2, but I'll say it right now. He's going to be ready for the home opener at the very least. Okay, well, there you go. Let us know in the comments your thoughts. And in a way, it kind of takes off the logjam of who's going to play top 6 and which one of those wingers is going to be pushed to the 4th line. You know whose eyes lit up when they heard this news? And again, you never want to cheer for injuries. You do never cheer for injuries, but Ole Lixell and Arthur Kaliev, their chances of making this NHL team just skyrocketed. Yeah, it definitely helps. And then you look at guys like Giroux, Zetterlund, Amadio, they feel a little bit better at where they're going to slot into the lineup as well.
Yeah, but the pressure's still on because Drake Batherson will be a top 6 winger. That wasn't the spot that was ever up for debate.
No.
But now everybody else is going to have to do a little bit more in the meantime while Drake Batherson is out. All right, Pillsy, let's get to our organizational value rankings. We had yesterday Drake Batherson at number 5, Linus Ullmark at number 4. The top 3's next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day. All right, Pillsy, we have counted down from 65 and we've made it to the top of our 6th annual organizational value rankings. And in this tier, this is a tier of its own, the franchise tier of the Ottawa Senators. All 3 of these players have been with the organization for the entirety of this podcast journey. I should say the organizational value rankings portion of the journey. We obviously started this show November of 2019, which led to one of the worst seasons in franchise history and 2 top 5 picks. Thank you, Martin Jones. Thank you, San Jose Sharks, for that. With that said, coming in at number 3 is the player they got in the trade from the San Jose Sharks. The 3rd overall pick from the 2020 draft. We're going to go with Tim Stützle at number 3, even though there's an argument that he's the most talented player on the team.
I think everyone would agree he's the most skilled and or talented, depending what word you want to use there from the thesaurus. But I just think that Tim Stützle, there's more for his game to grow. And we saw growth last season. Sure, the points aren't at the highest they've ever been for his career, but he just looked like such a better, well-rounded player. He was playing better defensively. He was being more physical. I mean, especially in the playoffs, Timmy was an absolute animal when it came to hits. And I think once he continues to round his game and get back that scoring touch that he had a couple of years ago where he hit 39 goals, 15 more goals than he had this year, and shooting the puck more, we got to get him over 200 shots again. There's a real chance, and it wouldn't surprise anyone, that he becomes this franchise's most valuable player as a number 1 center with 6 years left on his deal at $8.35 million. Last season, he played all 82 games, 24 goals, like I mentioned, 55 assists, 79 points, finished even with 46 PIMs. Ross, why does it make sense for you that Tim Stützle is 3rd here?
Because the other 2 are so different and unique, I would say. There's other players like Tim Stützle in the league where they're high offensive players, but I think where Tim Stützle needs to get more league-wide credit is his defensive game. If you look at expected goals against per 60 minutes when he was on the ice, he was right next to Sam Reinhart in terms of forwards, like a reliable 2-way guy. He is getting so much better, and there's still so much more room to grow at only 23 years old. But I think now it's about, okay, the commitment to defense is there. And you couldn't have said that in the first couple of years of his career where he was trying to, be that offensive player that got him to the level that he is. And it makes sense why. But Travis Green did a fantastic job of getting Timmy to focus on defense first and then let the offense come through that. This is still almost a point per game player. And he's also set a career high in assists every single year in his career, from 17 to 36 to 51 to 52, and then 55 this past season. But with that, we've seen a dip now in goals. And sure, it bounced back from 18 to 24 year over year, but I still see that 39 plus goal upside that he showed in the first season where he was with Claude Giroux. I see that back, and I think that, like, if he can get to that level, he's going to go right back up because he's down 1 spot. He had that number 2 spot locked in on our OVRs for 4 straight years, but he's down 1 spot. And I think that's just because we know there's more there. We just want to see it. And again, this entire conversation can be 1, 2, 3, however order you want it. And I agree that Tim Stützle is the most naturally talented player, and he's right up there, with these other 2 as the most competitive players in the organization. He's not satisfied. He's a very good, I would say, scout of his own game. He knows what he needs to do to get back to that level. We just need to see it in practice. So we're splitting hairs here saying like, oh, why is he lower than the players that are to come? It's fantastic that he's an Ottawa Senator. We're huge fans of his. He's also just an absolute beauty, great guy to be around. And the Sens are so lucky to have him for 6 more years at the cap hit that they have him at. $8.35 million is a complete steal. But now it's about the projection for this upcoming season. I want to see him be a plus player. He was right at even last year, but I want to see for him the goal scoring, the shooting. And you said over 200 shots on goal. I want it to be over 225. When he scored 39 goals, he had 228 shots on goal. This past year, he only had 162. Like, it just cannot be that case. His dynamic ability gets him into shooting positions so often. He just needs to commit to getting it on net and understanding when you're playing with Brady Tkachuk, he's going to go to the net. So even if you don't score, which he does have the capability of beating goalies clean, you can create rebounds for Brady to go in and jam away. So that's the one thing that I need to see more of from Tim Stützle.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just about tinkering with the decision making, right? Like I talked about it in that first preseason game. 15 seconds in, he gets gifted a pizza in the slot, and instead of just ripping a shot, he tries to do a fake wraparound and tuck it in behind the goalie. Like, don't get me wrong, sick play, great idea, creativity. He's a dynamic player. He can pull those things off potentially. But once in a while, you just got to be like, I can't believe I'm in this good of a shooting position. I just got to take advantage of it. And it would be different if he didn't have a good shot. But he has a good shot. Use it. So I'm excited for Timmy this year. I think he knows. We don't need to tell him. He knows he needs to shoot more. Travis Green's been telling him. He's been saying in the media that he knows the coach and everyone else wants him to shoot more. So we're going to see that. I'm not as high as you, Ross. I don't think Tim Stützle will ever score 40 goals, and I hope I'm wrong about that. But I think he should be a consistent 30-goal scorer.
Okay, so what's your projection then for this season for him?
Let's go 31 goals, 59 assists for a clean 90 points.
Yeah, really?
You're disappointed by that?
I'm disappointed by just 30 goals. I want him.
Oh, yeah, then you weren't listening. I said 31 goals, Ross.
No, I said, 30. We can round down. I want over 35 goals for him. I'm high on him. I'm high on all these players. But for me, like, let's beat 39. Let's shoot the puck. He scored at a 14.8% clip last season. He can score.
Yeah.
So why don't you? Just do it. Just shoot the puck and it'll go in. So I got 41 goals for Timmy this upcoming season.
Hey, again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he can score 40 goals. That would be sweet. But
we're right on it in points. Like, I got him at 94 points and you got him at 90.
Yeah. I think he can consistently be above a point per game guy. I think he's going to rely on his playmaking more. He can't help himself, Ross. I know he knows, and we know he knows. We know he knows. But I just think he's always going to be a pass first guy, similar to Jason Spezza. Like, Spezza never hit 40, did he?
No.
Yeah.
No. No, he definitely didn't. Highest Spezza ever got was 34, 3 different times.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I think Timmy can be in the 32 to 38 range consistently every year.
Okay, well, one other note on Tim Stützle, if you check out NHL Edge, the skating, tracking, that sort of thing that they have, Tim Stützle had the 6th most 22-plus mile-per-hour bursts last season of all players in the National Hockey League. And if you go to 20-mile-per-hour bursts, which is, the burst, self-explanatory,
yep.
Only 3 players had more 20-mile-per-hour plus bursts than Tim Stützle. Would you like to try to name the 3 of them? I think you can get 2.
McDavid.
Correct. Number 1. Number 2 is McDavid. And there's a huge gap, over 100 more bursts between number 1 and 2.
Cale Makar?
Nope. Close.
Oh,
Close.
Nate.
Nathan McKinnon had 547 20-mile-per-hour bursts. McDavid had 442. I'll just say he's in the division. I don't think you're going to get this one. Centerman in the division.
No, just give it to me. I don't want to pain people.
Braden Point at 422.
Oh, yeah, I never would have got that. Okay, interesting.
And then Tim Stützle, 380 bursts at over 20 miles per hour. For defensemen, by the way. Coming in at number 2, it's Jake Sanderson, who in 20-plus mile-per-hour bursts was second behind Cale Makar last season. Makar had 206. Sanderson had 199. Third was Zach Werenski at 162. So if you're in a conversation with Cale Makar and Zach Werenski for how well you skate, you need to be recognized league-wide. And it felt like this was the season last year that Jake Sanderson started getting the recognition league-wide, finishing 10th in Norris voting, showing up on a number of ballots there, and he comes up one spot here. So we're flipping Tim Stützle and Jake Sanderson here. And the second half, if he can replicate that, and he's been on record saying that that's his goal, is to play like that, if not better, for the entire season, sky's the limit. Because basically, once Artem Zub got healthy and he didn't have to be paired with Travis Hamonic last year, the numbers skyrocketed. And he's just an incredible talent. And I'm glad that people are waking up, because we've been on this train now for a few years that he's going to win Norris trophies. And it's not just going to be a blip on the radar. It's going to be consistent year in and year out for basically his entire prime.
Yeah, I mean, I would love for him to get multiple Norris trophies, but that's when you're in the era with Cale Makar, that might be difficult. And usually it's easy. The voters just look, okay, sort defenseman by points. Okay, he led, given the Norris trophy, which is unfortunate. But I do think he will consistently be in the conversation for the Norris trophy. That is for sure. Last year, 80 games, 11 goals, 46 assists, was a -14. That minus is mostly from the start of the season. He was in the -20s for pretty much from October to the new year, I think. And if it wasn't for that bad start, I think we might have seen Jake Sanderson not be number 2. And only 12 PIMs for a guy that plays as much as him. That just goes to show you that he very rarely puts himself in a position where he has to cheat, hook, trip, or do anything like that to catch a guy, because his skating is just so elite. Even if he is out of position, he can find a way to get back to the position he needs to be. And of course, we got to mention it, the most electric moment of my live Ottawa Senators viewing experience was the playoff game in overtime, where he skates from the bench, keeps the puck in at the blue line, scores that goal to stop the Leafs from eliminating the Ottawa Senators in a sweep. Absolutely electric. So yeah, Jake Sanderson is, when you draft a defenseman high, especially in the top 5, this is the peak of what you're hoping you can get. And we love Jake Sanderson, and we respect his game, both defensively and offensively. And I'll pass it over to you there, Ross, because I know you believe there's more offense to give here.
Yeah, Jake Sanderson was 5th among defensemen in the National Hockey League in points after the Four Nations, like from March 1st on, which is basically when the Four Nations ended, because those first 2 games that Ottawa played, they didn't have like half their offensive weapons coming back from that. But from that San Jose game on, he was 5th in the league in points by a defenseman, and we know how great he skates. We touched on that. He defends with his feet without taking penalties. He's just an all-around super talent, and the 11 goals for me is what's going to get the biggest boost. I got him at 16 goals, which would have been 4th in the league among defensemen last year. Cale Makar had 30, by
Insane.
the way.
Yeah.
30 goals.
That's why I hesitate on the Norris trophies, plural, because Cale Makar is just so damn good.
Insane. Then it was Zach Werenski had, I think, 23, and then Rasmus Dahlin was right there with 17. I think he can get to that level. He's obviously unlocking more and more of his toolbox as things go on here. I got him at 55 assists as well. So I got 71 points for Jake Sanderson this upcoming season. I think he pops off. I think he makes the Olympic team. That should be another goal for him. But that's going to be a product of the way he plays. And he said that maybe it was on his mind too much getting onto that Four Nations team. He ends up being an injury replacement, and he ends up scoring a goal in the championship game there. So big game player, scored the OT winners you talked about in game 4, where they needed a hero, and it was Jake Sanderson. The fact that he just turned 23 is outrageous to me. Defensemen typically take longer to develop than forwards, but he basically came into the league and he's just getting better and better. So the sky's the limit for Jake Sanderson.
Yeah, I mean, we can remember Ross back in the day when he was drafted. Many online scouts saying, "Look, Jake Sanderson, great player, but wow, did the Sens ever reach on him at 5?" And you and I held strong because we'd been following Nodak and we had been getting all the info of the work ethic that this guy has. I mean, going to bed disciplined at 8:30 at night when you're in college, that's a guy that takes it serious. And Jake Sanderson said himself, he likes to consider himself an everydayer. Every day he works up. He's got that discipline. This is a guy that isn't satisfied with just being a good player. He wants to be great. He wants to have international success. He wants to have playoff success. And if he can have a consistent year, start off the year the way we know he can, there's no reason why he can't have a career year this year.
Yeah, and he's obviously, without wearing a letter, a big part of the leadership group for the Ottawa Senators. You could say the same about Tim Stützle. Those guys are the first players to wear one when Thomas Chabot or Claude Giroux are unavailable. And, or I guess when Brady Tkachuk was out, that's when they also got a letter on them. And it's so sick. They got those two guys on the same day. The exact same day. Not one franchise talent, but two. So shout out the 2020 NHL draft. Shout out Jake Sanderson. And people might have said, wait, why was there a year where Jake Sanderson was down at 7? That was an injury-riddled year at college where he went back for that. We quickly readjusted back. So Jake Sanderson up one spot. He was at number 3 last year, number 3 the year before. He was at 7 prior and then began at 4 for the first two seasons. I got the hiccups right now. I'm really struggling through this, but no more hiccups in November for Jake Sanderson. And we're going to have a heck of a season with him coming in at number 2 on our organizational value rankings. Pilsy, there's no spoilers here. Everybody knows number 1. And I think there's going to be some debate about it, but it's Brady Tkachuk. To be the man, you got to beat the man. And we still have Brady Tkachuk for the 3rd consecutive season at number 1. What was the separator? Because I think many people would say, myself included, that Tim Stützle is the most talented player on the Ottawa Senators and that Jake Sanderson is probably the best player on the Ottawa Senators. So why is Brady Tkachuk the most valuable?
So the way we gauge value was kind of, for lack of a better way of describing it, but like in the NHL video game, your trade value meter, like how valuable are you to your team and to other teams? And I mean, all you got to do is go on Twitter any given day. Ross, it popped back up again about people talking about this team would love to have Brady. This team's going to trade for Brady. Brady's going to go here, blah, blah, blah. We shut it down every time. It doesn't bother us anymore. Brady has made it clear that he wants to have success here. Still got 3 more years on his deal. He's the face of this franchise. He's the captain. All you have to do is look at where the NHL puts value in players. Sam Bennett. This guy doesn't pop off in the regular season. He doesn't have a lot of points, but in the playoffs, when push comes to shove, he's the guy pushing and shoving and scoring goals. He won the Conn Smythe Trophy this year for the Florida Panthers. It's that style of game that is so coveted, to have someone that can play physical, that can lead your team into the battle, that can score goals. Brady Tkachuk led the Ottawa Senators in goals again this year. He's done that multiple times. He scores 30 goals pretty much every single year. If he was healthy for all 82 or even a couple games more, he finished with 29 this year. He would have had 30 again. He just brings an element to this team that there's not many people in the league like him, and there certainly isn't anyone on this team that can do what Brady Tkachuk does. And then off the ice as well, I know that's less valuable, but he's a community leader. He is a guy that gets it, as 2 people that have had the privilege of getting to talk to him off the ice and in more casual settings. He's just such an amazing person all around. And at 6'4", 225 pounds, he's arguably the best power forward in the league. So there's just so much value to Brady Tkachuk. And I know maybe a lot of people have switched to putting either Tim Stützle and Jake Sanderson first, and that's fine. I think, Ross, no disrespect to Brady, I hope that he's not number one next year, because I hope one of those guys can pass him. But at 26 years old, Brady Tkachuk still is the most valuable player for the Ottawa Senators.
If there was an expansion draft of every player on the Ottawa Senators, Brady Tkachuk to me would be the first player that any other GM would pluck off their roster, because he changes the dynamic of any team that he's on. And I love the way that he stepped up in the playoffs. Like, everybody had a poor game one, and he was a part of that. Didn't play great and took a minor penalty. That was kind of the par for the course for the Ottawa Senators, many of them playing their first playoff game. But after that, he scored a goal in game 2, scored a goal in game 3. And then when the chips were down, facing elimination on the road, the Sens win 4-0, and he has 3 points, a goal and 2 assists in that game. He, to me,
and he wasn't even fully healthy, Ross. Like, we all said, oh, we can't wait to see Brady Tkachuk in playoff hockey. And I would say he would probably tell you himself that he didn't fully unleash the beast in those 6 games, because he just couldn't. He was still dealing with that injury that was kind of nagging on from the Four Nations, and then he kind of got re-injured again later. So a fully healthy Brady Tkachuk is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and he missed the last 8 of the last 9 games of the regular season, came back in that last game and was -2, which sucks because he told us last summer that he wanted to be a plus player. He was +2 going into game 82.
Hey, Ross, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. He was a +0 this season.
I love it. I love it. And I know you said that the off-ice stuff is lesser. I just think that this guy encapsulates what it means to be an Ottawa Senator, the passion, the dedication, everything that he brings to be his best every day. He, to me, is the perfect leader for this team. As he goes, the team goes, and that's why Brady Tkachuk, the most unique player in the National Hockey League. He's got the most hits before turning 26 years old in NHL history. He's always among the league leaders in shots on goal. He scores, he fights, he does everything that you want a leader to do. That is our rationale for why Brady Tkachuk, for the 3rd straight year, comes in at number 1.
Yeah. And let us know in the comments on Twitter how you feel. Did we get it right? Is there a better order? Do you agree that Brady Tkachuk is still the most valuable player? Every day I wake up, Ross, I'm happy that Brady Tkachuk is the captain of this team.
What is your projection for Brady Tkachuk this season?
He's going to get back to 30 goals, obviously, as long as health permits. I would say high 70s. So let's say 35 goals, 42 assists. That's what, 77 points for number 7. Lock it in. Let's go.
The 7 horse is humming.
Yeah, the 7 stallion.
I got 32 goals and 43 assists for 75 points, over 300 shots on goal, and over 250 hits. I think that he's just going to bring it all across the score sheet this year. And I'll say it. He was +1 2 years ago. He was even last year. I'm going to say plus double digits, Pills.
Ooh, love it.
And I know plus minus isn't everything. It was probably like the 7th stat that I named there. One thing I could promise you, and Brady will tell you too, we're not going to be talking about his name on the NHL Edge stats for most speed bursts over 20 miles an hour.
That's okay. Speed's not the name of his game.
Yeah, the 7 horse, you might not bet on it in a straightaway race, but when you need to get into the mud,
if he's a fucking Bronco, you're looking out for that one.
So we have completed our 65-player organizational value rankings, and the franchise tier comes in at number 3, Tim Stützle, number 2, Jake Sanderson, and number 1, Brady Tkachuk. From Brady Tkachuk to Nicholas Van Tassel, we have completed the organizational value rankings. We hope you learned something from it, whether it's the background into each individual player or how we view the value of these players against their peers. It's a great setting of the stage for what will be another season where players can either jump up 20 spots like Levi Merilainen, they can fall down a number of spots. Every day is a new opportunity for these players to impress, and we're excited to see what this upcoming season will behold for them all.
Yep, absolutely. It's been a journey to get to number 1 all the way from 65, but we love doing this, and it's important to keep tabs on all the players in this organization, because you never know. There could be guys, we've had high risers. There could be guys in the 30s and 40s where you're like, I don't really know if they have a lot of potential, if we'll be hearing about them. And then all of a sudden they're a major part of your team, like Levi Merlainen comes to mind. You got to make sure you're keeping a watch on all players because everybody's got a chance here.
Final question for me, Pillsy. Which one of these players do you think has the potential to jump the highest next season when we do this?
I'll go Carter Yakimchuk. If he has opportunities to play a good amount of time in the NHL, and if he's paired with Jake Sanderson when he gets here, I could see him jumping at least 3 or 4 of those guys. Now, I guess number wise, that's not the biggest, but when you're talking about jumping guys in the second tier and in the teens of overall value rankings, I would say that's a big deal. As far as numbers go, maybe I'll go Javon Moore. I think he really could have an opportunity to jump a lot of those Belleville guys that are ahead of him.
Yeah, I like that. And yeah, it's obviously harder to move higher once you're already where Yakimchuk was, which is at the top of tier 3 there as a blue chip prospect. For me, I'm going to go with a guy who, like, in terms of sheer numbers, I just think that we had him too low overall, is Jackson Parsons. I think if he has a good season, like we had him in the low 50s, right? Like, I think that he could be a guy that's in that near the top of the Belleville tier. So that would be jumping about 20 spots from where he was. So that'll be my lower end player rising up. Whereas for higher end, I'm going to go with Dylan Cousins because he's signed. He's got that under his belt. If he gets back to a 30-30 player, Pillsy, like why wouldn't he be ahead of Claude Giroux at least, maybe ahead of Shane Pinto? Although
I was going to say, I didn't think you'd ever put him ahead of Pinto.
Well, I wouldn't personally, but if the numbers show after this year, then we might have to have that conversation. But I'm looking for Dylan Cousins as a player with plenty of opportunity here to make his mark with the Ottawa Senators. So that concludes our organizational value rankings for the 2025 season. All right, Pillsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Nope. Glad we made it all the way to the top of organizational value rankings. We've got a bit of a break here until the next preseason game on the Sunday, the 28th, 3:00 against the Devils. So now it's update season. So we're going to be following along closely.
Yes, and we got a Sens Central Citizen tomorrow. We're heading to Tennessee for it. Yeah, we got Sens fans all over the world, and we will be fired up to bring that to you. We might even be going further next week for our Sens Central Citizen. So stay tuned for all that. We'll keep you updated on any cuts that could happen throughout the next day or two. The Senators are heading up to Quebec City next for a game on Sunday afternoon against the New Jersey Devils, and Tuesday, September 30th, against the Montreal Canadiens. Looking forward to following camp as it continues, and all roads lead to 2 weeks and 1 day away, which is in the time frame that Drake Batherson could be back. He's out at least 2 weeks. Well, 15 days. The Senators will begin the regular season in Tampa. For more, check us out on social media at Sens Central on Twitter, LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. Please subscribe to the show. We have noticed a nice boost in subs. Let's keep that rolling. Be a friend. Tell a friend about LOSP. Thank you for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.